Welcome to NTTV Nightly News. Just kidding. This is Mean Green Game Day. I am your host, Jazra Williams. I'm joined with Jalen Tucker, Connor Hibbett, and Wyatt Schott. Today, we are going to be talking about all things college football being in week 4, and we're going to be talking about UNT, of course. So let's get right into it. We are in week 4, a month of college football. UNT has had a little bit of changes. They've changed conference to the American Conference, and they've also had a little bit of difficulty that people have been anticipating to see from last season. How has it reflected into this season? Jalen, how are we feeling with the start of UNT's program as a whole?
Well, first off, we got a facelift. That's the best way I can describe us. We have about 77 new players, and a lot of that's coming from the transfer portal itself. But still the same coaching staff, so that's still a year underneath their belt of their plays and the way they coach. So definitely it's new for us. We're seeing all new people. We have a new quarterback, new running backs, new wide receivers. So we're definitely getting a new look at the North Texas football. I mean, we're starting off decent. We're 2-1 right now. This week we're playing Wyoming today. So we had that rough game against Texas Tech, unfortunately. But overall, I'm not too shabby right now on the Mean Green right now.
Well, I'm pretty happy so far overall from the season. I know the Texas Tech performance was not what we wanted to see, but the difference between the Power 4 and the G5 is continuing to separate. More on a take on that later specifically. But in terms of the competition, the similar kind of competition, the G5 competition that we faced, and of course the FCS competition with Stephen F. Austin, I think we've looked more complete than last year. I think our defense has played better against the opponents that we should beat. So I think there's a lot of new, obviously, with the team, as Jalen mentioned, 7 new players. Whenever you have a team with that much new, there's going to be some high variance in the beginnings of the season. So there's still some kinks to work out for sure, but whenever you have a team that has a bunch of new, there's opportunities for new, new goals and aspirations.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, North Texas, I mean, they look like a whole new squad this year, and it's because they are a whole new squad. Like you said, 77 new players. But you bring back the same coaching staff, there's a lot of continuity there, and I think that's really important, especially for the guys returning, to develop another year into the system. And for the new guys, they gotta pick it up quick because they don't have time to figure it out. They gotta learn right now. The schedule lines up a lot better for us this year than last year, and I think because of that, we could see ourselves maybe going bowling this year. I don't think we're ready to compete in the American Conference, like to win the conference championship.
Yes.
But I do think that this is an improved team from last year, although there are still some shortcomings that we need to discuss.
Yes.
That is what we are going to get into today. We're going to start off with UNT versus Tech. They traveled out to Jones AT&T Stadium out in Lubbock to face the Red Raiders, and it wasn't pretty. The score was 66-21. There's a lot to talk about. I think that we had anticipated a lot from this team. I think that we were all pretty excited to see how they performed. We thought it was a pretty good matchup because both teams aren't doing the best. They've had better years. I think this was a good matchup for them to see how they are. But obviously, one thing I do want to point out first is that UNT's offense did not execute.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The pass completion was not good. Rushing was not good. 3 interceptions, not good. So do we want to touch on that a little bit, Jalen?
Yeah, Chandler Morris was definitely wearing Red Raider underneath the uniform apparently because 3 interceptions was pretty insane to me. It didn't look like him versus how he played at SFA. He only had 162 yards as well when it came to passing. So definitely really low for his sake. And we had to end up putting in our backup QB midway through the game. So it didn't look like the same team that I saw against SFA compared to Texas Tech. And they also, the offense side of the ball, we just weren't getting those plays together. So obviously we got 21 points out of it, but overall it didn't look like the same team. We just didn't execute as well as we needed to.
Disappointing, I guess, would be the word to summarize the performance. Look, it's not like I'm expecting to go on the road and win in Lubbock, but Texas Tech had looked questionable at best going into the game, and so the hope is, hey, maybe we can make things interesting. Unfortunately, that did not happen one bit. And another sad thing is that we were actually confident. The team and we, as analysts, were confident going into that game, and then the halftime score is 52-7.
Yeah, blew it out.
Yeah, the only thing that made sense about that game was taking the over. And we said, what's the number one thing we expect is a lot of points. Well, that happened, but unfortunately, about 85-90% of the points were with the Red Raiders in that game. I certainly did not expect a blowout like that.
Yeah.
But there are still things to look at to where you can say maybe they can build upon that. and build upon this. But the number one thing in that game that I took away was that at the line of scrimmage, there's still a lot of things that need to get worked out. And the thing is, Texas Tech, they've been getting pushed around on the offense and defensive line, and they pushed us around in that game. And that makes me a little bit nervous moving forward, but it's not like we're going to be facing against Power 4 teams moving forward. It's still disappointing to put a performance like that against a Big 12 team that might not even make a bowl game this year.
Right.
I guess I'll start with my one positive from this game. We allowed only one sack.
There we go.
Yeah, great.
That's
One
what we can
sack.
build upon.
Another
Okay,
thing.
nothing else from this game was positive. So
Yeah.
let's get to the negative. Chandler Morris just did not look like himself today. Only 15 passes completed for a team that runs an air raid system where you're going to have a lot of easy checkdowns, easy looks. Completions should be in the 30s and higher. You should have more than 30 completions in a single game, and you did not have that. You went 15 for 28 with 3 interceptions, and that's just inexcusable for a team that wants to throw the ball as much as us.
Yeah.
We didn't have a single rusher over 40 yards, and defensively, we allowed over 350 pass yards and 230 rushing yards. So it's just an abysmal performance overall, and I know that we're going to be out-talented by Texas
Yeah.
Tech. That's a given. They're far more talented than us individually, but to see us be so undisciplined and just give up chunk plays and just blown coverages, it shows to me a sign of an undisciplined team and a poorly coached team. I don't know if that's going to be a recipe for the entire season, but that was on display against Texas Tech, and it was extremely disappointing.
I definitely agree. One thing I do want to touch on is that second quarter was extremely scary. Now, in the first quarter, it wasn't looking bad. I was like, okay, we're still in this game. They're
Yeah.
looking good so far. That second quarter was very, very telling, and Texas Tech exposed the heck out of our defense. That's something I want to go on to next. UNT's defense has, we've been discussing this since last season, seeing if their defense will, continue to improve. They're still under Matt Capone. They brought him back. So there's continuity there, like Wyatt had said, but their defense is still not looking good. It's not necessarily, is it the front, is it secondary? It's just all of it is not looking
Yeah.
good, and that can't happen, especially when you're going against one of the #1 running backs in the nation, Taj Brooks, and
Yeah.
he got everything he wanted.
Literally everything he wanted. He
Yes.
got every catch, every play. Literally, that was just a great game for him, stats-wise, for him.
Yes.
So we gave that to him. We're not having those coverages on the ball for that sake. So going into looking forward to the rest of the season, we have to step on the defense. We have, because if we allow a defense not to cover, we're gonna lose against those teams that are narrow to where we could possibly beat them or possibly not. We're gonna lose those important games that we need to win on our schedule. Our schedule looks very manageable for the conference season. I think obviously we have our tough games like Memphis and Tulane, of course, but like teams like Temple, Eastern Carolina, FAU, like those teams like Tulsa even, like we have those games where I think it could be a win-win situation where we can either win it or we're not gonna win it. Like it's gonna be narrow type games, but we have to be able to fix our defense on the side of the ball.
Yeah, and the thing with our defense is, last year it was very questionable. We finished with the worst run defense statistically in the country by 20 yards, and we returned basically the same players up front. The guys that we got through the transfer portal for defense were in the secondary, and about 3 out of those 4 guys that we were going to be counting on are not even playing right now. They're not even dressing out because of some off-the-field stuff. So if you return the same exact players that were responsible for a questionable defense, you would hope that the floor is higher because the ceiling's not going to really change. Maybe the floor is higher. We'll see by the end of the season. I mean, it's hard to be last in whatever statistic it might be for consecutive seasons. It's just you would expect there to be, because of the returning experience, some slight improvement where the floor is, I guess, substantially higher, or at least it looks like it. But early on, I can't say that it has improved one bit.
I don't think it's improved either. And last year we were so concerned about the rush defense. And like you said, it was probably the worst in all of college football. But this year the pass defense has gotten exposed. And I think that the pass defense might have been just as bad last year, but we didn't see it because teams were just running the ball against us.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
now teams are throwing the ball against us. We go against a team like Texas Tech who is air raid, and they throw the ball for over 14 yards per attempt. I mean, that's unacceptable. That's over a first down per throw.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to bring up next. They're averaging a first down,
Yeah.
more than a first down.
Every
That's
single time
insane.
they throw the
Every
ball.
single time they catch the ball is insane.
It's just unacceptable, and it's poorly coached. You mentioned the players that we lost out in the secondary. It was B.J. Allen and Xavier Bryce, both 4-stars from Texas. They both get arrested for trespassing in the offseason. They don't even get to play in the opener, and they probably won't play all season. So there goes 2 transfers that you relied on a lot. off the team, and I think that kind of sums up this defense in a whole.
And I kind of want to piggyback off of that. Whenever you are a team relying on the transfer portal, you're looking to get guys to start right away. Why are guys entering the transfer portal? For playing time.
Exactly.
So you're not going to get backups through the transfer portal. So what I mean by this, if you have a bunch of new players with most of those new players being from the portal, you're not going to have the depth. And so if something goes wrong, whether it's off the field stuff or injuries, what happens when 2 or 3 starters go down at a single position? It's uh-oh time. And that's where we are right now in our secondary. And given that our run defense returns the same players that I said, again, that were responsible for a defense that could have been much better against the run last year, well, it's uh-oh time for our defense right now. And so there's a lot of questions moving forward.
I think we've made some really great points to watch out for this game that's coming up today, which we will talk about later. But don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Joining you here today in the Union parking garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god! Oh my god! This girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Welcome back. We are going to be talking about our favorite touchdown celebrations for this season. We're in a month of college football, and there's been a lot of different celebrations that you can see all over social media. I think that's one of the funnest parts of football is seeing the players enjoy themselves and how creative they are. I will go ahead and start. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech's Malik Rutherford. He is a wide receiver for them. He is a great player versus Georgia State. He did a really good job throughout that game, but I think that he just had this amazing little highlight. It was, he had open field touchdown, completely open. He went to the end zone and he hit his little dance. He did his little dance, and I think it's really cute whenever guys can really bring in a lot of expression, and whether it's culture from wherever they're from. An honorary highlight, I'm definitely gonna have to shout out the whole LSU football team. I think everybody knows that they get down in NOLA, so
got to.
Yeah, they get down out there, so they bring a lot of culture and fun and hype to the game, and that's what it's all about, honestly. Jalen, who are you picking?
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the celebrations have to stem from social media, like you said.
Right.
TikTok is probably one of the heaviest ones that they've definitely used from a lot of things. But I'm definitely going to pick for me. I have Travis Hunter against North Dakota State. I think Travis Hunter is already an entertaining player as itself.
Right.
But he had that amazing catch right there, and you can see right there when he gets it, he's hyped, he's celebrating, and he hit his little dance. He was like, "Let me go for it," and I literally loved it so much. I love entertaining. That's what it's all about. Football is a business, and the part of it, yes, you have the gameplay, but you have the entertainment factors, the money factors of things. And so when they have things like that, it makes football way more entertaining to watch. So I definitely appreciate players like Travis Hunter that, are able to express themselves out there in the field, for sure.
I love celebrating, and it's different than taunting, so I wish some referees would get that in their heads too. There's a difference there.
Yeah.
My favorite celebration this year, it's not like a crazy touchdown dance or anything like that, but it was just the moment and his expression. Iowa State wide receiver Jaden Higgins against the Iowa Hawkeyes. First of all, Higgins is a great player. He's the #1 receiver for the Cyclones. He's also my favorite NFL player, or NFL draftee potential for the Iowa State Cyclones. And that little face he made in the corner of the end zone after he scored that touchdown. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the Cyclones this year. Take that, Hawkeyes. It's about time that you finally lose to your in-state rival. And by the way, guys, watch out for these Iowa State wide receivers. Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins. This is a really, really good receiving core.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a team that I am really excited about. This is Miami Hurricanes. They just played at Florida, and they absolutely dominated them. This touchdown here was by Cam Ward to Jacoby George in the back of the end zone, and it was really what put the nail in the coffin for Miami. If you see Cam Ward right here, he spins out of the sack, drifts left, fires, hits Jacoby George back in the end zone. Defender falls in the bush, and then at Florida, you hit the Gator Chomp right in front of him. Oh, yeah. Gator Chomp right in front of him. I like the taunting, the anti-celebration, because I'm a Texas fan. I got to deal with horns down every single game that we play.
Yeah,
I got to see that everywhere. So when I see something like that, it fires me up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah, because he definitely hit that chomp down. He said thumbs down to that. So yeah, I agree. I love that celebration. That was definitely
He was chomping at the bit to do that.
He was waiting for it, really.
Yeah.
He was waiting for that moment for you.
No, that's definitely understandable. I think it's really important to talk about how this is, it's a small part of the game, but it's something that's broadcasted everywhere with social media being so big through Instagram, Twitter, and all that. And as you guys have mentioned, how some of the referees have been a little bit, iffy and and penalizing. And my honorary shout out, yes, LSU, they did get a little bit, got some penalties for that, because some of the celebrations are taken a little bit too far, but I think that we should focus on keeping them fun. It's high energy, it's hype, it gets the crowd hype, it gets your teammates hype. I love to do the celebrations where it's all the teammates can join in. Also, we could even mention NFL celebrations.
Oh,
I don't know which ones have been better. I think I've been liking NFL, honestly. I know this is a college football show, but we could dip into that too, for sure. The Bengals have been hit Battle. Great. He's a great dancer. I love the touchdown celebration from Battle for sure for the Bengals.
You even think about Travis Kelce on the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
You already know he's his little dancing little boogie time.
Of course.
It's definitely someone for him. He's definitely been an entertaining player for sure with his celebrations too. So I mean, yes, the same thing with college football, NFL. I think do you guys think the whole 2024 season, are we looking pretty entertaining when it comes to football all around? What y'all think? Because I think this year has been definitely a hype train right now going on in college football.
No, I definitely agree. I think that college football, has been very, very exciting, like from the jump this season. And of course, everyone's excited for college football to be back. But I think that a lot of teams, for some reason, it feels like the level has been like elevated. Like there's just a little bit more hype to it this season. And I really am enjoying it so far.
I'll tell you why that's the case. There's an expanded playoff this year,
Yes.
and more teams feel like they've got a shot, which is true. More teams do have a shot. And so I think that's just creating an increasing excitement for a lot of these players. And as a fan, I love it for these players. I mean, these players they put a lot of effort into what they do. The daily grind for these guys is something that's really you can't compare it to anything else in life. So they go through a lot. They deserve a reward. I think the expanded playoff is great. That's another conversation for another day, though. From the player perspective, I love it.
Wyatt, how do you feel about this?
I won't go in on the playoff, but I do think that they've marketed the playoff really, really well. And it has brought a lot of excitement to the sport. It's kind of, I don't want to say like rejuvenized it, because I think that there was a lot of juice around college football already. People have always loved it. But I do think that it brings it to another level. And they just signed, the conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten just signed their respective gigantic media rights deal contracts, over $300 million for the SEC and $300 million for the Big Ten with CBS. They are going all in on college football, and it feels a little bit more corporatized, I would say. You lose some of that like regionality, and like college football is like almost like a small town feel. But you're kind of going like you're the big dogs now. You're competing with the NFL directly for screen time.
Exactly.
You have Thursday night football games. You got Thursday night NFL. They're putting good slots on those Thursday night games. They're not shying away from competing with the NFL. So they're upping the level of competition. They're upping the level of play on the field. And it's showing with the popularity of the sport.
It's not really NFL and college football anymore. It's NFL and NFL Junior.
Yes.
College football is being professionalized now. It's a business. It's not about tradition anymore.
And I just want to go touch a little bit. I think it also has to do with the NIL now. So now they're able to pay these college students to play, because some of them who got into transfer have gotten paid. Some of them have rejected the pay, but I think now, like you said, it's definitely NFL Junior for sure now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of the points that you guys have made. I think it's really important to, one, understand that these are still college kids. They're still young. Some of them are a little bit old, but most of them are between, 18 and 23. Yeah, so I think it's crazy that they are getting paid the way they are, but it's still all fun and games. But y'all be back. We will be talking about some of our college football takes for this 2024 season, so don't go too far.
What does Talents do?
So I am the Vice President of External Relations for Talents. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNT pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Jazzer Williams. I'm joined by Jalen Tucker, Connor Hibbett, and Wyatt Schott. Right now, we're going to be talking about some of our takes for the college football season. Going in, Jalen, what are we thinking? What are we seeing as potential? What are we seeing as promising? What do you think is going to happen or unfold throughout this college football season or towards the end of the season?
Well, I don't know if you were tuning in last year's show, I think everyone kind of knew deep down. I know we're new to the American Conference here at UNT, but I was pretty heavy towards the Memphis Tigers this past season.
Just a little bit.
Just a tad.
A little bit. We love Seth Hennigan, really. That's what it is. He's a very talented player. So for that take for the American Conference, I'm stating here, I think that Memphis will go undefeated this season. I think that Tulane game is going to be the toss-up. That's going to be really the key factor for me. That they're playing them the very last of the season before the conference game. So that's going to be really the toss-up if they're going to go undefeated or not. But I'm saying they're going to either go to undefeated and then they're going to win the American Conference. I'm heavy set on Memphis. I think they're playing well. They're looking strong. I mean, they played Florida State. They won. I mean, I know Florida State obviously not that big team they used to be last season, but still, that's a big
win.
Still win. And a big school name. Yep. So for sure, I think Memphis is looking great. I'm enjoying their offensive side of the ball for sure. So I definitely see Memphis possibly winning the American Conference. And then I also see Utah playing for the Big 12 championship and winning. I think they're going to win the conference championship.
In their first year.
Newcomer.
In the first year of the conference. They're looking great as their first year in Big 12, for sure. They're making a staple piece entering in the Big 12, and I love it. I love to see those smaller conferences coming up, and I'm enjoying watching them play because they're already ranked. I believe they're 11 right now.
I don't remember.
11 or 12, they're up there.
They're up there for sure. So, I mean, they're playing a 3-0 start. So, I mean, it's definitely looking good for Utah. And then I want to go into the national scene and that playoff. So us expanding that 12-man playoffs. I'm definitely seeing Texas making another appearance. They were so short, for sure. And Wyatt's nodding his head. He's like, yes.
Just a great point.
But I also think it's going to be Alabama in there, too. So I think I'm going to predict that I'm going to see Texas versus Alabama in the national. I don't know who's going to win it, but I'm just going to say that's what I'm predicting right now because they're going to definitely be that 1 and 2 seed because I think Georgia's going to fall down to 3 or 4. So I'm definitely predicting right now Alabama 2, Texas 1, and that's what we're going to see.
In the national championship game?
In the national championship game.
That's going to be a great game.
That's what I'm
predicting.
predicting.
Rematch from last year.
A rematch, for sure. Exactly.
Connor, what are we thinking?
Gosh, I can go like sicko mode for some of these takes. I'll touch on Iowa State. I was just discussing them a few minutes ago. I think the Cyclones will play for the Big 12 championship. Everyone was talking about Arizona, Kansas State, Kansas. The Kansas schools haven't looked as great as advertised. Arizona has not looked as good as advertised. You know who also has not looked as good as advertised? Oklahoma State. You know who Iowa State also doesn't have to play this year? Oklahoma State. Give me the Cyclones to play who I don't know who they're going to play. Maybe Utah. We'll see what the Cam Rising situation is like. By the way, Iowa State, they play more Big 12 home games than Big 12 road games. That's a key factor when you're deciphering who might play for the Big 12 championship because there's not much difference among all the teams. I talked a little bit too long on the Cyclones. I'll move on. I know you guys are getting tired of this Cyclone discussion. Let's go complete sicko mode here. UConn makes a bowl game. I like their schedule this year. They play a lot of trending down teams. UConn do it. Yes, I believe so. I will go complete. If that's not sicko mode enough, I will go with my boldest take for this season. East Carolina, an AAC foe of ours, will go from 2-10 last season to playing for the AAC title game this season. Wow. How? because of their schedule. Let's see if we can pull up their schedule. Yeah, so they avoid all of the top dogs this season in the American. They don't have to play Memphis. They don't have to, and Seth Hennigan. They don't have to play Tulane. They don't have to play South Florida.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see what Rice might do this year. They don't have to play Rice. And their home and away splits are also very favorable for them. Watch out for East Carolina this year. Maybe even some good value there if you want to maybe hedge your bet if they end up making the conference championship. And then I'll go with a couple of others. How about Indiana finishes with their first or finishes with a winning record in Kurt Cignetti's first season in Bloomington. They're already off to a 3-0 start. I think this might have been the most undervalued team in the country going into the season. Watch out for the Hoosiers. I think there's an outside chance they finish with 8 or 9 wins this season. Call me crazy, but call me a Hoosier fan, whatever you want. I like this team's schedule as well as a lot of their senior-laden leadership that they got through the transfer portal. And then I don't want to belinger here too much. I'll give one other take here. This has yet to happen in the 21st century. Both of the previous year's national championship game attendees will finish this season outside of the top 10 in the AP poll. In fact, I think there's a chance both Michigan and Washington may not even finish ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But believe it or not, guys, this has never happened where coming off of a season, both national championship game attendees finish that following year outside the top 10. But I think it might happen this season. In fact, I think it will happen. Go ahead and just book it right now.
Put it, stamp it.
Yeah.
Approved.
I agree.
It's happening.
I agree 100%. I'll move on here to my takes for the season, and I want to start off with Ole Miss. I really do think this team can make the SEC championship game, and it's not because I think they're the best team in the SEC. In fact, they might be the 4th best team in the SEC, but their schedule lines up beautifully. Jackson Dart is back for another year. Lane Kiffin's a mastermind with the offense. Everyone knows that, and they portaled in so well. They're loaded offensively. They added Juice Wells from South Carolina. They added Trey Harris from Louisiana Tech to a really good receiver room. They replaced Judkins with an explosive running back in Henry Parrish Jr. from Miami. He has looked outstanding so far this season, especially last week against Wake Forest. And then the defense has been the biggest question since Kiffin has been at Ole Miss, and they portaled in amazing. They bring in Walter Nolan, they bring in Princely from Florida, and they bring in Trey Amos from Alabama, former 5-star, and Walter Nolan, also former #1 player in the country. He was part of that great class at A&M in 2022. I think Ole Miss is going to be great, but I talked about the schedule being so easy for them. They play Kentucky, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, one of their hardest games, at home. They play Georgia, their hardest game, at home. And then they play Florida and Mississippi State. That's 2 losses as their floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they can easily beat Oklahoma, and there's a chance they could beat Georgia. And I think they'll meet Texas there, and I don't think Georgia's going to make it because I think they'll lose 2 regular season games at least because they play at Alabama, they play at Texas, they play at Ole Miss, and they have to play Tennessee still. Even though they get them at home, they still got to play a top 10
So
team.
we'll split those games.
Yeah, if they split those games, I mean, that's 2 losses, and you're not going to be in the SEC championship game. I know Nash didn't agree with this take, but I really do think that it's going to happen. Next up, I'll move on to Miami, and this has been the team that I've hyped up all offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Connor's heard about it all offseason. I text him nearly every day
though.
about Miami, and I think it is worthy. Miami, I predict them to go 13-0 and win the ACC. They have Cam Ward as their quarterback, who they portaled in from Washington State and previously Incarnate Word. He is a difference maker. He transcends this team. He takes their ceiling from a 10-win team to potentially being undefeated, and I truly do believe that. He is one of those players. Their receiver core is really good with Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, and Samuel Brown. It's really slept on. I think that they might be the best in the ACC currently. And then they portaled in really good on the defensive line. That was where they struggled the most. They bring in the big defensive tackle from Michigan State. They bring in the edge from Tennessee. And they also have Ruben Bain, who was a true freshman last year and was absolutely outstanding for them. The secondary still needs to be tested. Florida didn't test it. None of the other teams they played tested it. It will be tested eventually. Virginia Tech. But I really do think that Miami is a team that can go 13-0 and win their conference title. I don't know how much they'll compete in the playoffs, but I do think that this team is really, really good. Lastly, I'll touch on another SEC team, and that's Missouri. Unfortunately, I think that Missouri is going to regress towards the mean. They played amazing. They had an amazing season last year. They went to the Cotton Bowl. They won it against Ohio State. Their receiver core is outstanding with Luther Burden and Theo Weiss Jr., but I don't think that their schedule lines up for them, especially with some of the stuff that they lost on defense. They have to play at Texas A&M, Auburn, at Alabama, Oklahoma, and at South Carolina, and I think that they can lose 4 of those. There's another game on the schedule that I'm missing that they can possibly lose. I can't quite remember what it is. But they have 6 games that are very losable. And after watching them against Boston College, I don't know how good this team really is. I think Boston College isn't that good, and they're a bit inflated because of that Florida State win, because Florida State is abysmal this year. But yeah, so I think that there's going to be a little bit of trouble in paradise for Missouri this year.
So I was on the Mizzou hype train last year. I love their defense, and I'm telling you all right now, Mizzou is not as good as what they were last year. But the schedule is more manageable this year, and obviously they're going to receive more of that preseason hype, so that's going to help them in terms of their floor ranking. But that'll be an interesting trend to follow this year with Missouri regarding their strength of schedule, because they could be a 9-3 SEC team. Do they get the benefit of the doubt there because they're SEC? But that strength of schedule is not very good.
No, it's not.
I think, you guys have made some really good positive takes. I'm going to have to be the one to be the negative Nancy. I'm going to go with OU is looking decent right now. They haven't been the best in recent years, but I will say that right now I believe that they're currently ranked at 15. I think that they're actually going to be ranked even lower, possibly even drop out of the top 25. I know that SEC hates to, the SEC, they're in the new conference, and so everyone thought that there was a question, even people were like, oh, Dylan Gabriel's running from the SEC, which is very possible, but I think that OU is going to show up nowhere in the top 25 just because they're ranked really high because of the teams that they started off playing. They played Temple, they played Houston, they played Tulane. Those are very beatable games for them. But even today, starting off, they're going on Tennessee, Auburn, I think they can beat them, but Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Maine, they can beat them. Missouri, Alabama, their schedule is so stacked going forward. I just don't think that OU can really hold up. I think that they are at 15. They're going to significantly drop even completely out. They're not the same team that they used to be. So I think that's something to look out for sure. But we are going to move on to our next block. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. We're going to be talking about UNT versus Wyoming. That's going to be happening today at 6 p.m.
And don'ts of the Pole Rec Center. See that man over there? Please do not hog weights. Instead, do this. Another important part is having an attentive spotter. See, here is an example of a non-attentive spotter. Instead, do this. Now we head to the track, which should be pretty easy, just it's important to pay attention to the way the track goes. Remember to wipe down the equipment after you're done using it. The towels are provided by the gym, so it's pretty easy to wipe down the equipment when you are done. Thank you for using the Pole Recreation Center.
Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the matchup today, UNT versus Wyoming. Y'all, we have a lot of faith in UNT's team today. I know that we haven't talked the most positively about them, but Wyoming is a very beatable game. They should, keyword, should beat Wyoming today. Y'all, how are we feeling about this Wyoming game? It's at home. We're hyped to be back in Denton after taking a road loss. Y'all, how are we feeling about this matchup today?
Pack the deck. That's what we're promoting right now. We want to get all the hype going. I think Eric Morris described it perfectly. Having the Maniacs on as a student section, having that student section allows that home court advantage for us. And so having a team like Wyoming where you have a quarterback that only has 308 yards for starting out the season. On the season right now for passing yards. So if that's not screaming, we should be able to win this game. I don't know what else we need to give that kick for the UNT. We need a bounce back against Tech for sure, because after next week, we're starting conference play. And our schedule is decently manageable, but we'll have Tulsa coming up, and we'll have those harder teams down the road like Tulane, like Memphis, like teams like Eastern Carolina could be possible. You know, we're gonna have those teams that are gonna be, we're gonna be on the fence on. So I think a game like this has to be the boost for us, for sure. So this should be able to help our defense on the side of the ball, because Wyoming has a poor offensive side of the ball. And then our offense side, we should be able to run the ball, throw the ball more often here. So I just want to see something different. I don't want to see the same team that we had against Tech or even the SFA game. I want to see a whole new team going into this week.
I think you nailed it, Jalen. This is a chance for us to bounce back, especially from a psychological standpoint. This is the perfect spot to get right before you go into conference play. Wyoming's offense has been one of the worst in the country so far. Their two best offensive players are not even going to be fully healthy for this game. One of them may not even play, their running back. And then their star tight end might play, but he's not going to be at 100%. So this is the perfect opportunity for us to get that confidence and the mojo that we just had a couple weeks ago, get it right back before you get into AAC play. And Wyoming's offense, like, even if they had their star players, the floor is still pretty low and the ceiling is certainly low because their receiving core is not that good. So guys, we shouldn't be seeing 14 yards per attempt for Wyoming's quarterback in this game. So defensively, I expect us to at least look much better. We'll see how they play. They will have to stop the run first and foremost because Wyoming's going to be a run first and run second team. They're still working a pretty young receiving core into the fold this season. So this, again, it's a great opportunity for the defense to get their mojo back.
This is where my thought process is for this game. One of these things has to give. Wyoming's offense makes UNT's defense look really good, or our defense makes Wyoming's offense look really good. It can only be one way or the other, but one of those things is going to happen. I do not trust our defense enough to shoe in any game as a win. Every single game that we will play from this point on will be competitive and will be a toss-up because our defense is so bad.
Agreed.
It's just the way it is. It's reality.
Even Temple?
Even Temple. Even Temple.
Oh,
no. But yeah, our defense is so bad that we keep teams in the game and we give them a fighting chance. Wyoming's defense has looked really, really bad. They lost badly against BYU. They lost badly against Arizona State, even though Arizona State is improved this year, which I don't think anyone thought when they first played. And then they lose close to Idaho. However, Idaho had their backup quarterback starting, and they still managed to lose. They only scored 13 points in that game offensively. It was at home. It was at home. So yeah, Wyoming has been greatly disappointing this year. We talked about the receiving core. The days of Isaiah Nayor are long gone. He's now catching touchdowns for Nebraska last night.
Yeah.
He had 2 of them.
And another one-score loss for the Cornhuskers.
Another one. I mean, Nebraska can't catch a break. All right, but back on topic. I don't think that North Texas will lose this game, but they will still have – Wyoming will still be in the game no matter what because our defense is so poor.
I think that a really big factor for me in this game is that I think I said this last week, but for this week, this game is very crucial to see how this team is going to perform going forward. And that doesn't mean that they can't, improve and grow throughout the season because, that's what practice is for, coaching, film, all that stuff. But to start off with playing such a beatable team at home, I think that this is going to show basically UNT's true colors. It's going to show how are they looking going into conference. If they lose this game, that's going to be extremely scary for both ends, for the coaches. I don't think that anyone is expecting them to lose this game, but seeing the way that they performed against Tech, and obviously Tech is a much better team than Wyoming, but seeing the way that they performed against Tech, I don't have much confidence in their defense, and like you're saying, they're going to be running the ball. So our backers, our DBs have to be able to tackle, and that's something that they struggled with last season. I will say, if you do look at the tackles individually, there has been, more distribution of tackles amongst, our defense. And I love to see that. That's great. But we have to put it all together because if they do, I think I might run out of the stadium if I see if they have 300 passing yards this game, more than they've had the whole season, I might lose it. Because if we shut down the run and they go to their air raid, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Because that cannot happen. That can't happen today. This is a very big factor game for them going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we have this game and our 2 next games are going to be our home games, and then we're going to head on the road. So we need this win is what needs to carry us going into the start of conference play. Right. This is where it's going to matter. Now, Tulsa and FAU, I think those are the 2 games to me I think are going to be our toss-up. But then, like I said, we have Memphis and Tulane back-to-back. We played Tulane here, and we played Memphis in Memphis, Tennessee, which I wish I could be there. But anyway.
You want to watch Seth, I understand.
I want to just watch Seth hit again. I mean, but like I said, our schedule is panning out to where we have to guarantee these types of wins. This Wyoming game is a game that we have to get together. And our defensive side of the ball has to stay on time. We have to shut down the run. We have to, yeah. That's the only option.
The thing that I really don't want to see in this game is Wyoming to control the pace and run the ball for 4 or 5 yards of carry when we know that they can't pass and we're loading up to stop the run and we still can't stop the run. I don't want to see that. I just want us to dictate the pace of the game to Wyoming because first of all, that'll tell me, okay, we're energized, we're pumped to be here. Second of all, it shows me that we can make adjustments to match whatever our opponent's strength might be. That's what I want to see. We don't have to have world beaters on defense. We're not going to go from here to there. I just want to see us adjust and improve. Is that too hard to ask when you're playing the 130th ranked offense in the country? I hope not.
Exactly.
I agree with you. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. And if Wyoming can control the tempo and we turn the ball over, we will lose this game.
Yes.
If Chandler Morris throws 3 interceptions like he did last week against Texas Tech, we will lose this game because Wyoming will be able to dominate time of possession.
Yes.
Yep.
I am concerned about the offense this game because of how poor they were last week against Texas Tech. They had no business playing that bad offensively against Tech. Texas Tech allowed 51 points against Abilene Christian just 2 weeks prior. So we should have been able to move the ball. We should have been able to score, but we couldn't take care of it. Wyoming has the 98th rush defense, better than Texas Tech. They have the 84th pass defense, better than Texas Tech. And that's with the UNT game factored in for Texas Tech. So Texas Tech was even worse before they played us, but we made them look good. This game is scary to me. I will still go North Texas, but this game is frightening to me.
Yes.
I know somebody that I respect very much that took Wyoming plus 4.5 in the first half against us. Since he took that, and he actually has to do with market value and changes in the spread's gone down from 9.5 to 7. Still in our favor, but that's a significant difference in there in the market. So if those in Vegas are thinking Wyoming's got a shot now in this game more so with the line change there, that scares me like you were saying. But it's just not a good sign moving forward.
Honestly, I think that this game is definitely going to be a nail biter, and not for the reason that it will be close or that it will be, oh, it's so exciting, like it's so hyped, like one of those close games. No. I think it's going to be a nail biter for me because I really want UNT to win. I want them to do well, and I know we've been talking about, how negatively that they have played this season, and there are some good things that we have pointed out, but I promise we want UNT to win so bad. Of course, we go to school here, so it's just like, it's so disappointing, like you said about the Texas Tech game. It's so disappointing to see how they come out with all of the change that they've made coming into this season, and this is a game that they need to win. If they don't win this game, I feel like going forward, it's going to be downhill. Yep. And these are games that they have to win because if they, I really wanted UNT to make a bowl game this year.
Yeah.
And these are games that you have to acquire on the W column to get there. If this is a loss, I don't know where our season's going to be going forward.
And by the way, this is also huge for our home attendance moving forward.
Right.
Because we're going to have a really good crowd in this game. If we can put a good showing in this game and put a good performance in front of the fans, that'll help our attendance moving forward.
That was all for our UNT versus Wyoming set. We're going to be talking about our predictions in National College Football, so come back, don't go too far. Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Jasmine Williams. I'm joined with Jalen Tucker, Connor Hibbett, and Wyatt Schott. Today we're going to be talking about some of our predictions throughout the college football world, all of the games that are going on today. We love a Saturday full of college football games, and the first one we're going to start off with is ranked 11, USC at Michigan, 18. I am going to go with USC. I think that they've been looking very good this year. They looked really good last year, looking even better this year. And Michigan, I think, as we all know, has fallen off.
Yes.
Being the national champions last year and going to 18 is a little bit disappointing, but I think I'm going to pick USC. Even though they are at Michigan and that's a difficult place to play, I'm still going to go with the away team.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, we know Michigan is not the same 15-0 team. They're not. Right. We already know that. They're not the same national team, for sure. And I agree with you, Jazz. Yes, USC does look good. But I'm going to go more favored to the home team. I'm going to go with Michigan because they're playing at home. And like you said, it is a difficult place to play at home. So I'm going to stick to Michigan there.
Somebody on our show last year predicted Michigan to win the national championship. Jalen did. She's a genius. I said that last year. I'll say it again. But I'm not going to go Michigan this year. I'll go with USC in this game until I see something different from the Michigan quarterback room and receivers. Really, their offense overall, their offensive line's not as good as what it's been the last few years. I'm going to go with the Trojans. I hate picking road teams. I did it last week. It worked actually okay. So I'll go with the road team here and the Trojans. I'm
going to go with the road team as well. I think USC should be able to win this. I'm excited to see what Alex Orji looks like for Michigan at quarterback. But if they started Davis Warren for 3 games, they knew Davis Warren gave him a better chance to win. And that was bad. that was bad. So I don't know what to expect from Alex Orji, but I'm excited to see him get an opportunity. I just don't think that Michigan's going to be able to score enough points to keep up with USC. Even if USC's offense doesn't operate at peak efficiency, I still don't think Michigan can match their points.
How can a defending national champion have this kind of quarterback room?
Because they'd never recruited at a high level.
It's just amazing to me. Yeah, they were really good developing. We'll see how the development goes with the new coaching staff.
Yeah.
True. New coaching staff is a great point as well. Our next teams are going to be TCU at SMU. Little DFW rivalry.
Yes.
Love to see it. I would love to be at that game. I know the energy in there is going to be amazing. I'm going to go with SMU. I'm going to pick a little bit different, I feel like, from my analysts here. I'm going to go with SMU. They are playing at SMU. I know the crowd isn't as good as the TCU crowd, but I think I'm going with SMU just because I really liked them last year. I think that they're okay. They're decent this year. TCU, I'm not very high on, just in general. Especially against UCF. They didn't perform well. So I'm going to go with SMU. Why not?
I was going to bring that up, Jazz. Yes, that UCF game. I was actually there personally. After seeing UNT lose against Tech, then I had to sit there and watch TCU lose by 1 point against UCF. Yeah. Definitely heartbreaking. We're a split household in my house, UNT versus TCU. But I think I'm going to have to pick TCU for this game. I think with that hometown rivalry, that's going to bring up that energy. I still think that TCU is still a great team. For sure. I think they kind of slacked off during that fourth quarter against UCF. So I'm going to give me TCU for that one. Go Frogs.
I think TCU is the better team. I think SMU's been very disappointing this season.
Yeah.
I know I'm picking another road team here, but I'll go with the Horned Frogs.
Y'all know what this rivalry is called? You know what the name of the rivalry is?
The
Battle for the Iron Skillet.
Yes.
How fun is that?
We need something over here in Denton for that.
A lot of storylines for this game. Sonny Dykes playing up against his former team in SMU. I don't think that Rhett Lashley has a well-coached and well-disciplined team at SMU right now. It does look bad, especially that game against Nevada. So give me TCU for that reason.
Our next lineup is going to be, I'm very excited for this game, and this will help with one of my takes, is number 6, Tennessee at 15 OU. Now, I know that, Mackenzie is she's very scared about this game, being a Bulls fan, but I think that I'm going to go with Tennessee just because I'm not very high on OU, like I said. They are playing at OU. If any of y'all have been there, the environment is amazing. Yeah. It's really hard to play there. But I just don't think that OU is going to perform well. I think that Tennessee has showed up very well this season. I think that's going to be very difficult, even though that they are playing at home. But I still think it will be a toss-up just because at-home advantage is important. OU is still, they're okay. They're not my favorite, but there is still a chance that Tennessee could lose, but I'm still going to go with Tennessee.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Jazz. I'm going to go with Tennessee as well with the road team. I think they're just more of a powerful team against OU, for sure.
I volunteer as tribute to pick a team to beat Oklahoma, so I'm going to go with the Volunteers in this game. I'll make a score prediction, too. I actually kind of feel decently confident about this. 27-20. I could also see like 31-24, but I'll go with Tennessee by a touchdown.
Most of the people look at this game and they think two really good offenses. These are two of the best defenses in the entire SEC. These defenses are really, really good. The defensive front for Tennessee is awesome. The entire defense for Oklahoma is really good. Oklahoma's offense has been really bad. Jackson Arnold has not had a game where he passed for over 200 yards. He has thrown interceptions in every single game that he's played.
They played Temple and Houston.
They played Temple, Houston, and Tulane. That is not good competition. They have not played well. I think this one could get ugly, and I got Tennessee with a big one.
Next up, we have Baylor at Colorado. I don't know if anybody was expecting to see this game, but I really do love to see it. I'm gonna go with Colorado. I picked Colorado last week against Colorado State, and I think that they're gonna do amazing this game. What I do want to see is how Shador and Travis do perform. Shador has been doing really, really well comparative to last season. Obviously, the O-line still needs some improvement, of course, but I think that Shador has been very poised in the pocket. He's making really good decisions with people in his face, so I think that I'm going to go with Colorado, and they're at home. All the hype is there. I think Baylor is going to struggle greatly.
Yes, I agree with that. I think Colorado has definitely, Shador Sanders is someone who has been definitely more poised and more mature in the pocket for sure as a quarterback. And you obviously have Travis Hunter just can do everything. So for sure, I think that they're going to definitely take the team by storm here against Baylor. So yeah, give me Colorado.
As long as Colorado does not suffer any injuries, I'm not going to be fading the Buffaloes. Give me Colorado at home here. Finally, I go with the home team. I actually think they win decisively too.
Yeah, I think they win decisively as well. This is Baylor is not a talented team. And it's a shame because they finally got their NIL situated correctly, and they have gone all in on this recruiting class, and it's paid off big. Their slogan is "We pay players." They have shirts. They have shirts that say "We pay players."
That's right.
But I think it's too little, too late for Dave Aranda. I think this might be his last season in Waco, and I got Colorado winning big.
Next up, we have 12 Utah at 14 Oklahoma State. So we have close in ranking here. I think that's going to be very interesting to see how these teams perform. I know that you're probably going to have a lot to say about this for Utah, but I'm going to go with Oklahoma State because it's the home team, because it is difficult to play there. I am a little bit disappointed with how Oklahoma State has performed so far. I was pretty high on them going into the season. I thought that they were, going to dominate on the offensive end and do a lot better than they have. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I'm not dissing them at all. I'm not saying that they're not good, but I think they're just a little disappointing in the standard that I had. But I'm still going to go with OSU because it's at home. I think it's a very fun environment if you've ever been there. So I'm going to go with OSU just to be a little different.
And that's why I'm picking Utah, because of how poorly OSU has been playing this season. So, yeah, give me Utah for that. I mean, I've been big on hype on them. They're doing amazing with being their first start in the Big 12, starting at 3-0. So they're going to go 4-0 against OSU.
So the winning quarterback of this game between Alan Bowman and Cam Rising will get to sign up for AARP subscription. Man, these two guys are so old. Yeah, these guys are too old, man, to still be playing. Of course, I'm really old, and I'm still in college, too. So what can I say?
Not that old.
That's true. I'm not that old.
Not that old.
I think Cam Rising is a game-time decision. Even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. I cannot fade Mike Gundy in Stillwater. Give me another home team here in Oklahoma State. I don't think Oklahoma State's all that good of a team. I just like him in this spot.
The last time that Cam Rising played in Stillwater was in 2018 when Texas went to Oklahoma State and got upset by the Pokes. That was Sam Ehlinger's sophomore year.
That's right.
He's been in the NFL for 3 years now. Cam Rising is still in college football. It is so weird to see this. I got Utah in this one. I think Oklahoma State has really disappointed because they can't run the ball. They have one of the oldest offensive lines and the best running back in the country, and they can't run the ball. I don't trust Alan Bowman to win them many games, so give me Utah.
Also, let's see if I can go complete sicko mode here. That weekend in 2018 that Texas lost to Oklahoma State, October 27th, 2018. Is that,
Sounds right.
that's the Texas
Sounds about right.
I try to block that game out of my memory.
Understandable. And last but not least, we have UNT versus Wyoming. I know that we've talked about this a lot today. Of course, I'm going to go with UNT. I really, really do hope that they perform well. I think this will be really good to get a win under their belt and going into the season. Obviously, we talked about how psychologically this would be really good for team morale, for student morale, for school morale, because I think that everyone's been a little bit disappointed with how they've played today, or played so far. I think that they have a chance to play very well today. I don't know if it will quite be a blowout. I'm not sure how defense will perform, but I'm going to say go Mean Green.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, let's go Mean Green. I need it so bad for us to win. I'm going UNT for this one. This has to be a game that we need to manage to win. We need to pick me up after that Tech game, for sure. And I don't need to see Chandler throwing 3 interceptions this game. No, because that's what's going to give Wyoming that chance. So I'm going to go Mean Green because we're bleeding green over here.
I am hearing rumors that there's going to be a Teletubby in attendance tonight. If that's the case, take UNT to win outright, money line, and take him to cover. Let's go Mean Green. I'm not going to fade UNT on this show, guys. I'm going to do what I did my freshman year. This is my last semester on the show. My freshman year, I picked UNT in every game. I'm going to do that this year. I don't care who we're playing. It could be Seth Hennigan. It could be a Teletubby in attendance. I don't care. Go Mean Green.
This week, I agree with you. I think North Texas is going to win this week. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week after, but this week, I do agree that North Texas is going to win. If Chandler Morris turns the ball over, we will lose. I hope that it has been emphasized to protect the ball this week.
Yep.
You're coming back home after a bad loss on the road. Just go home. Just go win. Just go out there and win. Just go win.
That's
Wyoming can't win this game. We can only lose it. That's
Right.
the only way that Wyoming's going to win.
That's perfectly put. I'm very curious to see, honestly, what they've been implementing in practice, what has been the focus in practice with you talking about the protecting, and I think that it's really important for this game to reflect and see, okay, they come off of a bad game. How does their practice go into their play? How do they reflect? How do they come back? I think this will be really interesting in many aspects for UNT, more so than Wyoming. This is not very important for Wyoming because they're not on the best track. But this game is very important for UNT and important for, I feel like, the whole school to see, okay, y'all, what's going on? What are we doing? I'm very excited for today's game. It's going to be at 6 p.m. today at Dacre Stadium here in Denton. So make sure that you come out, pack the DAC. We're all trying to show up and be loud for this team coming back from Lubbock. So y'all make sure that y'all are there. Y'all are ready. There's a tailgate. Y'all get hyped, get excited. Go cheer for your Mean Green Eagles. Y'all, and that's going to be it for our show today. Thank you guys for joining us so much. Follow us on all of our socials. And thank you guys for showing up. We are going to be back here, maybe in this studio, maybe in our other studio. We'll see. But we'll be back here for week 5 of college football and UNT to be talking about how they perform, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching.